This is Scott Bauer at the CME Group, and the big headline today is the Saudi Aramco IPO soaring 10% after the IPO. Its valuation now just shy of the initial $2 trillion mark that it had originally set out for. It's at $1.88 trillion. On the other side of the coin, Chevron took a $10 billion write-down of assets really caused due to its Marcellus and its Utica shale gas assets. Big write-down, obviously the opposite of what's going on with Saudi Aramco right now. Crude down slightly yesterday before the EIA this morning, as API last night showed an unexpected build, and a further drop this morning from the EIA reports showed a massive build of 800,000 barrels when an expectation of a drawdown of 2.7 million barrels was out there. So we're seeing weaker numbers coming out of both West Texas and Brent based on those numbers. Also, we're seeing a build of 5.4 million barrels of gasoline, which was double analyst expectations. And again, we're seeing crude down to about 58.50 or so. Earlier today, Goldman Sachs had actually raised their crude price forecast for 2020, really based off of the extension of OPEC cuts, which just came out last week. On the other side of that, on the flip side of that, kind of this tug of war that we've still been seeing, is we're seeing shale output still expected to rise, and also Venezuelan output has actually been up over about 20% over the last couple months. So we're seeing that bigger supply coming out of the U.S. and Venezuela, although Goldman Sachs says they expect a rise in the price of crude going into 2020. OPEC says its demand for crude in 2020 will actually average about 29.5 million barrels per day. And on the brighter side, they said that they're keeping their 2020 economic and oil demand growth forecast steady. So an additional 500,000 barrels per day cuts, they came out, extended out through at least June of 2020 and perhaps the entire year. They are looking for West Texas to average about $58.50 through 2020. Natural gas, man, oh man, has this thing just been getting hammered. It's hovering around 228 or so, which is down from its high around 280, so down about 20% in just a month. If you remember a month ago, we got this cold snap throughout the country that really rallied natural gas. And since then, it's just been a steady decline. The near-term weather forecast is for some harsher weather across the Midwest and the Northeast. However, the price of natural gas cannot get out of its own way. Now, there is an EIA report tomorrow for natural gas, with analysts expecting a decline of about 76 billion cubic feet. So we'll see if it holds at this 228 level. There is support around 221, which was the lows that we saw earlier this year. This is Scott Bauer at the CME Group.